How are we ever going to get anything done? How are we ever going to get anything done? Man, oh my goodness. I have been looking online, I've been looking on the internet, and I was looking at this particular story about J. Cole and the rapper No Name. And if I'm to summarize it for you quickly, essentially what happened is No Name tweeted that some of our favorite rappers who spend all their time talking about the black plight are nowhere to be found when it's time to speak up. And a lot of people took that as a direct aim at rappers like Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole, who were very vocal about black issues but didn't seem to be tweeting at the time. Now, J. Cole specifically put out a song that one could deem to be some kind of response, and he said that he felt like she was right, and that instead of condescending and talking down to people who aren't necessarily as smart as you, maybe it will help to educate them. And that something about her tone bothered him, and the internet went wild. And then she's come back with a song, which is kind of like, you got time to be talking about me when there's real issues out here. There's always there's a bit of back and forth, but basically it's weird because no one's actually saying anyone's direct name, no one's ever getting at anybody, but it's just out there. So it obviously fuels a lot of discussion on Twitter. And whether or not we actually discuss like who was right and whether so and so should be tweeting, bear in mind J. Cole was at actual protests. He's been known to financially help people in times of disasters, and so he's quite an active person. He's not that he's just completely silent, but he wasn't necessarily tweeting. So aside from all of that, what I actually think is, how are we ever going to get anything done? How are we ever going to get anything done? Um, you see, I believe there's a certain amount of wisdom that comes with walking with God, with experience, with life, um, and we're paying attention to your surroundings, and that kind of wisdom is what I'm about to refer to now. This isn't for the obvious or for the surface level. As a people, we have problems, and what I've noticed on social media and what social media encourages is an absolute Royal Rumble. It's a Royal Rumble. Everybody can get it. You stand around long enough, you can get it. I never saw the day that the rapper who'd be getting it on the internet is J. Cole. I'm not saying J. Cole's perfect. I'm sure he said some things that's offended somebody. And, there are things that he said that I don't agree with. But, I mean, like, have you listened to rap? Like, J. Cole? Really? That's how I know that sometimes emotions are meant to follow, not meant to lead. Like, emotions happen after something happens. But if you follow an emotion, it will lead you anywhere with no real direction. So the point that I want to actually put out is, how are we going to get anywhere if we are all so concerned with being right? I've been married now for coming up to 7 years now. First thing I figured out is there's something more important than being right. The first lesson in marriage, if you ever want to resolve any conflict you have or whatever, you have to figure out there's something more important than being right. I always used to hate the idea. I thought it was men losing their way. I thought it was men just like absolutely becoming docile doormats. That's not what it's about. It's when you realize, if you have a wife, you realize at some point that, hold on a second, It's more important to me that our marriage is good than it is for me to be right in this argument. And if you never get to that point, you're never really going to mature or enjoy your marriage. So, as black people, when we get on Twitter and we have all the knowledge, we have all the right words, we have all the cutting remarks, we know how to tear someone down, we know how to make someone look stupid, we know how to use all the animated GIFs and all the online slang to get people on our side and get retweets. After all of that, what are we gonna do? Does it really make sense? Does it really make sense to continue down this path? I don't know. I think at some point we're gonna have to figure out there's something more important than being right, and that thing is actually loving one another. And it sounds cliche, and it's like, oh, this guy comes again with love or whatever. But the reason why I say it is because it's a specific wisdom that you find even in the Bible, right? So in First Corinthians, I believe Paul says that, like, even if you have all the knowledge, if you don't have love, you're like a clanging cymbal. You're just making noise. And that is a perfect description of what Twitter is like today. An issue comes out, everyone's got the right idea, everyone's got their opinion. I'm right, I am right, I'm right. And in the course of disagreeing with each other, there's no love involved. No love. Absolute hatred, in fact. So it now becomes a race to the bottom of how quickly can I tear the other person apart? How snide can my remark be? How much can I make the person look like an idiot? So after we've done that, time and time again, at what point do we go, do you know what, hold on a second. Maybe this isn't the win. Maybe the real win is when we can actually work together. Maybe the real win is when I have an opinion and I have a disagreement and I know when to disengage. Maybe the real win is allowing people to go on their journey, because there was a time where you were more ignorant than you are today. So that means you had to be given time to go on your journey. I don't know, these are just some rough ideas. But I think the state of Twitter is not something that can last for too long. I think the state of Twitter's going to tear itself apart. I think after a while you just realize you don't actually like being on the app. Especially when it comes to actual discussions about things that are important. And I think it's cannibalistic. I think it will defeat itself. All of the great work in terms of raising awareness or discussing issues will be undone by a lack of love. That's all I wanted to say.